Parshat Toldot opens by telling us, Vayihi Yitzchak ben 40 shana bekachto et Rivka, that Yitzchak, Isaac, was 40 years old when he takes Rebecca, or becomes her husband, takes her as his wife. And the rabbis notice this age. They love every detail in the Torah as much as we do. And they notice this age of 40. And to them, according to them, Yitzchak was 37 for the Akedah, when Abraham took him to sacrifice him, and then he was saved miraculously, or maybe just as the plan was, by the angel. But they believe that he was 37. And so they ask the question, where was he for the past 3 years? Because we haven't seen him or heard from him from the moment of the Akedah up until this point, when they tell us that he's 40 and he's going to marry Rivka. And they have many, many different ideas as to where he could have gone, but one of them that I found particularly astounding, which I hope you'll also enjoy, is that they say he went to the Garden of Eden. For 3 years, he lived in the Garden of Eden, this heaven, this beautiful garden, and he was there to heal himself. He was there in this safe place. He was there working on himself after a moment of enormous pain. And then he emerges 3 years later, ready to marry Rivka, his wife Rebecca. And the rabbis go so deep into this that later in our parasha this week, there's the switch, one of the big switches of the Torah of Breshit, where Rivka says to her two sons, Esav and Yaakov, she says to her younger son, Jacob, Yaakov, she says, you should get the blessing. And so she switches and she helps him dress up like his older brother so that he'll get the blessing. And the Torah says that Isaac, he couldn't see well, but he could smell, and his other senses were very, very sharp. And he smelled specifically, and he heard the voice. He said, this isn't the smell of Esav, this isn't the voice of him. And the rabbis say, what is that smell that he was so aware of? And they go back to this idea that the smell that Yaakov had was that he smelled like the Garden of Eden, which you can only imagine what that smell might have been like. But that smell was a smell that Yitzchak knew well, because he had lived there and he had spent time there, and he was there again after this moment of enormous pain and suffering to heal, and then he comes back into the picture after that. And the Midrash teaches us something I think that's pretty profound about what it means to recover, what it means to recover after a moment of deep pain, that our souls need a place of refuge. Our souls need a place to breathe, to be restored, to come back to life. Even some of the images are him in the Garden of Eden, surrounded by angels who are just tending to him after this moment. And it's here, in this moment, actually right now, where the Midrash meets our very own lives. We, unlike Isaac, we don't have the luxury of going up to the Garden of Eden for 3 years at a time, or large amounts of our lives. I think we all wish sometimes we could escape, and I'm sure we have that escape plan in some ways, whatever that might be, but we don't have that. But what we do have, and what the rabbis tell us, is that Shabbat comes every week, and it's a taste of Olam Haba. It's a taste of this world to come, or it's really a taste of the Garden of Eden, of this place in which our souls are tended to, our souls are cared for, that we are able to remove ourselves from this world and we step into a world where we can slow down and we can breathe. That Shabbat every week is a mini Garden of Eden. And just like Yitzchak stepped back from the world in order to heal and in order to tend and come back into it in a way where he felt more whole, we too step back. We do this regularly. We do it in the rhythm of our week and into a sacred space that helps us soften and care for the sharp edges that we have in our lives, the ways in which our souls have been damaged, which happens every single week for us. And I think for some of us, that pain comes from reading things like protests that become anti-Semitic in our own city, across the park, things that feel like they just went from one act of freedom into a space that puts us into a place of fear that we're carrying it, or for some of us, it's just the seemingly endless cycle of war or loss or uncertainty, this like relentless hum that we feel anytime we open the news or anytime somebody maybe shares, did you hear this? Did you see this? Or, and I would say, and many of us, it's also just the day-to-day. It's the exhaustion of the world that moves too fast, the emails, the deadlines, the pressure to always, always be on. All of this chips away at our souls. I don't know if any of it is as grand as the trauma of the Akedah, though I think we all have moments in our lives that feel, can touch that in some way. But every single week, our souls are chipped away at. And it's the blend of this inner and outer stress that our souls feel that we go into Shabbat with week after week. And that's where Shabbat comes in, as a gentle, caring place for us to just hold it, to be there, to think about, how do I need to become more whole? How can I slow down? And Shabbat becomes that Garden of Eden, a place to breathe again, to remember who we are without all the noise behind us, to let our hearts just settle in for a moment, to let our souls be held, to prepare us to re-enter a world with a bit more openness and a bit more love. And so, as we turn to page 23 for Lachadodi, as we welcome in the Shabbat Queen this week, I want us to ask ourselves gently, what is it that we need healing from this week? What might healing feel like, even if it's just for a moment, just a little bit of that healing, maybe not a full healing, but one step, one prayer, one deep breath, or one moment of rest at a time. And my hope is that on this Shabbat Toldot, that Shabbat, it becomes a sheltering garden for our souls, this beautiful image of thinking about this soul, our souls, our inside being held, a place to reconnect with peace and with this softness and with a wholeness that is always waiting for us. And I hope for each of us, like Yitzchak, we can emerge stronger and clearer and more open to love and more rooted in who we truly are and who we want to be in the world.